Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the best dinos to tame on Genesis 2. Now as always, my quick disclaimer, this is, in my opinion, the best dinos you can tame on this map. There may well be better dinos that you can bring over from other maps to use on Genesis 2, but I'm just doing dinos native to this map. So I hope you enjoy it. As always guys, thank you so much for the continued support. We've just hit 6,000 subscribers, a number I never thought I'd even get close to, so thank you so much for that. I really hope this video helps you out. Let's get into it. Number 1. So for our first dino, it makes sense to have something that we can use easily early game. So for this spot, I've chosen the Maywing. If you haven't had one of these guys yet, they make a great addition to your tribe early game, but also late game. We'll get into that in a second. They're very easy to knock out and they only take meat to tame. Once tamed and equipped with a saddle, these guys can become very fast. So they kind of have a swooping motion similar to a griffin, although it doesn't work anywhere near as good as that. You can still get around the map if you want to fly it like that, and you can see it still works pretty well, and it's very fast still. But the most efficient way to fly these guys is to jump off something with a bit of height, then try and find an even level of flying it. Once you've got that glide on, you'll just keep on going forever. Once you've got the hang of flying these guys, you'll be surprised how quickly you can get around the map. Let's make this clear right now, these guys are not fighters. They'll try their hardest for you, but they are not fighters. A high level one with some points in melee damage may be a little bit better, but early game, these guys are going to be used more for your transport. The reason I said that these guys are great later game is because when it comes to your breeding, normally you'd have to hand feed baby dinos until they reach their juvenile stage. Once they reach juveniles, they then start eating out of a food trough. But with a Maywing, as long as it's got a saddle equipped, you can use it as a mobile food trough. So as long as your baby dinos are close to the Maywing, you'll see they'll have the trough above them. This means that they're eating from the Maywing, and food will obviously last longer in the Maywing's inventory than it would in a normal food trough. So once you get to the point where you're starting to breed dinos, a Maywing is a great addition. On top of all this, thanks to the saddle, you can also place your baby dinos on top of your Maywing to keep them safe, and I guess so you don't lose them. Think of it as your own free childcare. Number 2. Let me tell you how good these things are. Like, there is no argument about it. These are the best things on the map. I absolutely love them. Let me tell you why. So, the Spacewall, so you think, oh, they're going to be slow. No, they've got freaking jet engines. So, yeah, they're really quick. They're surprisingly agile. If you turn off your engines, you can literally turn on the spot and you can move backwards and forwards. Extremely agile. And they're almost as good when you got the engine on. On top of that, they have these like tech pistol things on them. And you can also have grenades. So you're probably thinking, it's just an overrated Trebille grenades. No. These are so much more. The pistol's really accurate and it deals a lot of damage. Like, I think this is going to be majorly OP. And where you're so fast, it's difficult for anything to hit your back. So, yeah, good luck encountering one of these. On top of that, the grenades are actually not pointless. They actually deal damage, they're accurate, and they have a great animation as they blow up. Now, you do need element to run these, which isn't the biggest issue in Genesis 2, and they don't actually use that much element. In my opinion anyway, they are 100% worth the element that they cost. So with jet engines, rocket launchers, tech guns, and the agility of a gazelle wasn't enough, these guys can barrel roll, so you can pretty much dodge anything. They can also do a loop-de-loop if you want to Uno reverse your enemy. So now you're probably thinking, oh, this nice, I want to get me one of them. But wait, they can go underwater, that's right. As if you thought it couldn't get any better, these guys are as good underwater as they are on the land. Not only can they be used underwater, they also have an underwater ability. Whilst underwater, you can trigger their sonar ability, and that's going to ping where any living thing around you is in the water. If all this wasn't enough to convince you, they can even get their own buffs as well. So when you kill things, these blue hexagons will appear. As you can see in the bottom right of the screen, you'll get a white buff, which is like a part buff, and then if you get a second one, it will turn green, and that will give you its full buff. This will give it extra movement speed, bonus damage, and bonus resistance for 60 seconds. And then once your full buff runs out, you'll keep the original buff for a further 60 seconds. Now maybe we're at the point where you're saying, this is all good, Kiddas, but I'm a bad aim. Don't worry, I got you. If you hold the shoot button, these guys will lock onto the targets, so it's impossible to even miss. And if that isn't OP, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what is. So if you got yourself Genesis 2, go get yourself an Astrodelphus. Number 3. Coming up next, we have the Shadow main. These guys are relatively easy tame. You also don't need a saddle to ride them, and they have armor built in, so it's a win-win. Coming with the new map, they have some special abilities. They can jump for miles. This is a great way to surprise people, and it's also a great way to get away quick if you need to. These guys can be relatively strong for their size if you get yourself a good level 1, and you shouldn't come across too many problems on the map with one of these guys. If you jump high enough, they'll even do a cool little backflip, so that's a win-win. If you do find yourself in a bit of a pickle, these guys can also turn invisible like a rock drake. I mean, they still glow, but if you get yourself in the right backdrop, you're pretty much invisible. They have quite an OP ability when fighting things, so you can almost shoot through your target. This stuns them for a couple of seconds, and if you're fighting something big that isn't agile, you can easily keep on shooting behind them. And certain dinos with bad hitboxes won't even be able to touch you if you're doing this right. If you're not on a shadow main though and you need to fight one, this can make them very difficult and annoying to fight, so try and keep that in mind if you're on something big. Number 4. Now, this one's going to cause some controversy, and to be honest, I'm not surprised, especially when you've seen some of the other things on this list. But I've wanted to add this dino to one of these lists, because a lot of people don't know how good they can be since they got their buff last year. And in my experience in the ocean on Genesis 2, a lot of things seem to lurk in the cracks. Like, you'll start fighting something and then all of a sudden hundreds of things are on top of you. And also Megalodons are everywhere on this map, so they're very easy to get. And as you can see, once you get like 3 or 4 of them, they gain a huge pack bonus and they can hit incredible amounts. Now you're probably thinking, why don't you just get yourself a good Mosa? If you can breed yourself a good pack of Megalodons, and especially if you have good saddles for them, I'm a strong believer that there is not much that will touch them in the ocean. Whether that be something bred and imprinted or an alpha. That being said, you can still be shocked by Electrophorus and you can still be dismounted by Nidaria, so you do need to be very careful with that. But if your base is in the ocean area, or you're just looking for something to dominate down there, a good pack of Megalodons is a great option. Number 5. Of course, we wouldn't be able to do a list without the native Wyvern of that map. And although on Genesis 2 it's not called a Wyvern, it's a Wyvern. So, it can carry all the things a Wyvern can carry. This makes transport for certain things very good, if you're using an Anki for metal for example. Unlike most Wyverns however though, their secondary attack will not do damage. Instead, it will stun and massively slow down enemies. Although that's not massively effective for fighting unless you have tribesmates with you, it definitely opens up a whole world of new things that you can do in the game. It can open up a new way of taming for example, or a good way of fighting things that you once couldn't fight. At the very least, they have the speed of a Wyvern, so they're going to get you around the map very quickly. Number 6. Here we have another late game dino. Disclaimer, I haven't done the story mode of Genesis 2 yet, and I also haven't explored all the caves. I did however have a little mess around with a Giga, and he didn't do too bad. So I've added the Giga to this list for them times you're in the difficult caves, and instead of just wanting to jetpack through and try and be sneaky, you just want to dominate everything. That being said, with the little exploration I've done, I've come to learn that some of these are extremely difficult areas, and sometimes even the biggest predator isn't enough. So if you are going to go exploring in areas like this, just be very careful and be prepared to die. A lot. 7! So for our last spot on this list, you've probably heard me say this a lot, but probably my favourite dino in the whole of Ark, we have the Managama. So the reason I love these guys so much is because they're so unique. So they're not technically flies, but they may as well be. They do take a bit of skill to ride properly, which is good, but they're great all-rounders. A good leveled one, and especially a bred and imprinted one, can be really strong. They're also very fast once you get the hang of the controls, and their quick acceleration allows you to often get the drop on people. Quick tip, just in case you haven't had a Managama before and you're planning on getting one, the Managama's stamina will replenish really slow unless you get off it, so the best way to do it is to dismount it and sit behind its wing. This will make its stamina fill up much quicker and it keeps you semi-protected behind its wing. The freeze attack on the Managama makes light work of apex predators in the game. Once you've got yourself a Managama, you're not going to have any problems with anything really. If you are going to get one, try and get yourself a high level one though. If you have only got a low level, probably best to just level up stamina as much as you can and a bit of health. But if you've got yourself a high level, you can start pumping in some melee damage and then you're going to have yourself a good fighter. That's going to wrap it up for this video guys. I hope it's helped some of you out and I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please be sure to leave a like, it really helps. I also have so many guides like this on my channel now, so if you're new around here, consider subscribing, it's a nice place to be. But for now, this has been the best dinos to tame on Genesis 2. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.